We're now going to move to the next step of the leadership brand. We call this the leadership brand deep dive. This overall exercise is about 25 minutes, so let's get started. What we're going to cover is the reactive and creative beliefs and assumptions, the reactive and creative mindset. We'll get into how the reactive brain is shaped by your mind. For a few minutes, we'll listen to Dr. Joe Dispenza on how to transform your mind. The leadership brand, we'll provide some leadership brand examples. And then at the end, we'll ask you to do a short exercise, which is framed as the 4 execution questions. So when we get into the brand beliefs and assumptions for both creative and reactive mindset, first start with, when we look at creative leadership, there's a general thinking on a reactive side that IQ and technical competencies is all that's needed to lead, where on a creative side, leaders recognize that EQ around self and social awareness and self and relationship management is absolutely critical, particularly as you continue to grow up and throughout the organization. We'll talk more about that as we continue to go through the program. Second assumption is that once I get promoted, leadership is a right, versus on the creative side, these leaders believe that leadership is an honor and a privilege. And these two different mindsets create a total different view of the kind of leadership culture that's created within the organization. Another one is leadership is about taking and being in charge, versus leadership is about inspiring, teaching, and enabling others. Again, two different views of the kind of leadership culture that's created by these two different types of leaders. Leadership means keeping your distance. If you get too close, you lose respect. Versus leadership is being inclusive, connecting, caring, and supportive. Again, hopefully you can see and frame the different types of culture that's created with these two different beliefs and assumptions regarding leadership. Leadership is being tough, showing emotion is weakness, versus leadership is being authentic, showing empathy and compassion. So if you can look at both sides, you can kind of get a sense of the kind of creation, the kind of culture that could be created in an organization, a department, a store, and particularly when you have leaders that share reactive beliefs and those that share creative beliefs, how when they come together and try to communicate and build high-performing teams, where tension can be created. Let's look at the mindset that's created by these assumptions and beliefs. On the reactive side, command and control gives me power, versus inclusion and engagement magnifies my power. People are expenses to be contained and controlled, versus people are assets to invest, grow, and inspire. Don't trust what I don't understand, versus I seek to understand to build trust. I deal with the real world as I see it as the leader, versus the real world is defined by we, not me. And under this way of thinking, on the creative side, it inspires a degree of inclusion in the overall decision and thought process. Loyalty is a key to trust, versus trust is a key to loyalty. Although these are just a slight change in words, total different meaning when it comes to building organization, a high-performing culture, and so forth. So we'll talk more about this throughout the program. Top-down leadership for respect versus leadership throughout the organization for overall effectiveness. And then how can I get my slice of the pie first? Having that kind of attitude and way of thinking versus how can I grow the pie for all? Now, all these things create a reactive, all the things that on the side that we looked at in terms of reactive side of thinking and mindset, all shape the leadership brand that comes from a number of different places. It comes from childhood and our upbringing and how we were raised, rules and guidelines, relationship with our mother and father, all these things shape a certain set of values that we have, as well as a personality and temperament, what kind of person we might be. Are we outgoing? Are we introvert, extrovert? Uh, are we quick to anger? Do we have a calming presence? A lot of that also comes through, our environment and upbringing and so forth. Professional training. Some of us have training in fields that are more left brain, others training that are more right brain, such as training that one might get in the arts may be different than one might get in, let's say, training in accounting and finance or legal profession, where it's more logical, more systematic, such as engineering and so forth. All these things kind of shape a way of thinking and also shape how we think about leadership. Also, life biggest successes and biggest failures that have happened in our life also shapes how we lead, and it shapes a number of things in how we think about what leaders should and should not do, as well as any kind of fears we might have. It could be fear of public speaking. It could be fear of pulling together and working on a team. It could be a number of things that get in a way or advance how we lead. And what we believe is these things that are from our past, good or bad, are reactive because they are generated from our past, and they are not things that we intentionally might do, but things that are causing us to do certain things based on what has happened to us in our environment. Nevertheless, these things impact how we collaborate, how we solve problems, how we manage how we manage risk, how we make decisions, and you can go down the list, and all these things have a tremendous effect on how we lead others, how we become a part of a team, how we follow leadership. All these things have a tremendous impact on shaping the culture in which we operate. Now let's take a minute and listen to just some thoughts around how one transforms their mind.
How many people actually believe in the idea that the way you think has some effect on your life? So how many people actually woke up this morning and consciously created a future? The biggest reason why people don't do it is because you don't really believe it's true. You see, if you knew on a gut level that it was absolutely true, would you ever miss a day? And would you ever let any thought slip by your awareness that you didn't want to experience? So your brain, according to neuroscience, is organized to reflect everything you know in your life. Your brain is a record of your environment. It's a record, an artifact of your past. So if you believe this, then does your environment control your thinking, or does your thinking control your environment? So if you wake up in the morning and you get out of bed on the same exact side as you did the day before, you shut the alarm clock off with the same finger, you slip into your favorite slippers, you shuffle into the bathroom and you use the toilet like you always do, then you walk over to the mirror and you look at yourself to remember who you are, then you get into the shower and you wash yourself in the same routine way, then you groom yourself to look like everybody expects you to look. Then you go downstairs and you drink coffee out of your favorite mug. Then you drive to work the same way as you did the day before. You see the same people that push the same emotional buttons. You do the exact thing that you know how to do and you memorize and can do so well that you're an expert at. Then you hurry up and rush home so you can hurry up and check your emails, so you could hurry up and go to bed, so you can hurry up and do it all over again. Now, here's my question. Did your brain change at all that day? We could say that you were thinking the same thoughts, performing the same actions, that create the same experiences, that produce the same emotions, but secretly expecting something to change in your life. So then, as the environment turns on different circuits in your brain, you begin to think equal to your environment. As you see the same people and go to the same places and do the same things at the same time, it's the external environment that's turning on different circuits in your brain, causing you to think equal to everything that you know. And as long as you think equal to everything that's familiar or known to you, what do you keep creating more of? Same life. Now, the quantum law is still applying to you. You're just thinking equal to everything that you know, and you keep creating more of the same. To change, to truly change, is to think greater than your environment. And every great person in history knew this, whether it was William Wallace or Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King or Queen Elizabeth I or Joan of Arc. They all had a vision. They all had an idea. Couldn't see it, couldn't smell it, couldn't taste it, couldn't feel it, but it was alive in their mind. It was so alive in their mind that they began to live as if that reality was actually happening now. So can you believe in a future that you can't see or experience with your senses yet, but you've thought about enough times in your mind that your brain is literally changed to look like the event has already happened? Neuroscience says it's absolutely possible. Now, your personality creates your personal reality. That's it. It's that simple. And your personality is made up of how you think, how you act, and how you feel. So the present personality who's sitting here today, you, has created the present personal reality called your life. Would you agree? Would you also agree then, if you wanted to create a new personal reality, that on a fundamental level you would have to change the thoughts that you are thinking, the behaviors and habits that you're demonstrating, and the emotions that you've memorized that's become part of your identity? And most people try to create a new personal reality as the same personality, and it never works. We have to become somebody else. So then, as you keep thinking the same thoughts, performing the same actions, and living by the same experiences that produce the same emotions, there's a principle in neuroscience that says nerve cells that fire together wire together. And if you keep repeating the same states of mind and body over and over again, your brain begins to fire in the same sequences, in the same patterns and same combinations. And whenever you make your brain work in a certain way, that's called mind. Mind is the brain in action. So as you remind yourself every day who you think you are, you're causing your brain to fire in the exact same ways. And as they fire and wire in the same patterns over time, the brain moves into a very finite signature, and that's called your personality. Now, that box in your brain isn't literally a box, but it's the most commonly wired, neurologically fired programs that run redundantly because we keep doing the same things over and over again. To change your mind, then, is to make the brain work in new sequences and new patterns and new combinations, to begin to make the brain work differently. And the one ingredient that allows us to do that is knowledge or information. Because every time you learn something new, you make a new connection in your brain. That's what learning is. Learning is forging new connections. Remembering is maintaining or sustaining those connections. So now,
So we'll just stop at this point and then just talk about some of the key elements that were just discussed there. How do we think greater than your environment? And then how do we make sure, which is part of this work, that the leadership brand that you create becomes your leadership vision? Because we recognize that when we think about the leadership brand, the reactive part of the leadership brand, based on the past, in a lot of cases, there's a generation of reward, fear, compliance, authority, and win-lose, which comes a lot from the experiences that we've had in the past. But the creative side of the brain is driven by inspiration, commitment, trust, imagination, and win-win. Why? Because it's a matter of a choice that you make. And so all these elements, in terms of personality, life biggest successes, fears, biggest failures, training, childhood, whatever, are still there. And some of the elements are critical and important. However, you use the best of those elements. You use the best of those values. And those assumptions that are not right or don't suit your purpose or don't suit your future, then you just move toward those elements, those values, those principles, those ways of being, those behaviors that mostly fit the leadership brand that you want to create. Let's look at an example of a leadership brand. And this is from an executive who, after receiving the leadership circle, had some elements that he wanted to, dimensions he wanted to improve, and created this particular leadership brand that we'll go through right now. My leadership brand, my greatest strengths are my ability to align the team around a common purpose, drive operational excellence, and inspire commitment that leads to superior results. I lead in a way that delivers results the right way, with people, not through people. I am naturally inclined to help others reach their potential through individual and team development. By providing a supportive climate, I inspire others to strive to improve and give their best. I know how to identify, leverage, and surround myself with the best possible talent. I don't command people, I connect with them. As a result, people that follow me are committed and determined to give and do their best for the organization. My intellect, combined with my approachable, authentic leadership style, calmness under pressure, makes for a powerful combination. People naturally see me as a leader because I establish trust and credibility for my actions and my results. For this particular executive, this was the vision for their leadership. In this case, he recognized that some people view him, not everyone, but a number of people view him as not approachable. And some also viewed him as one that was creating too much of a competitive climate versus one of a supportive climate. That was not his intention. His intention was to create a very powerful and supporting climate, and also one in which he can express, and everyone can express, a source of authentic leadership. And that was really, really important to him, and that's why he wanted to have it intentionally stated in his brand. Let's look at another brand. This is from a famous person that I think we all know, but it just shows how a different way you can present a brand. This is more of a personal leadership brand. And so let's look at that and listen to that right now.
In 1979, he was on the road with his brothers on the Destiny Tour. MJ will be my new name. No more Michael Jackson. I want a whole new character, a whole new look. I should be a totally different person. People should never think of me as the kid who sang ABC, I Want You Back. I should be a new, incredible actor, singer, dancer that will shock the world. I will do no interviews. I will be magic. I will be a perfectionist, a researcher, a trainer, a master. I will be better than every great actor roped in one. I must have the most incredible training system to dig and dig and dig until I find. I will study and look back on the whole world of entertainment and perfect it. Take it steps further from where the greatest left off.
You guys are really...
So that gives you another perspective of a leadership brand, more personal brand. And the whole idea is to give you an idea of what are the things that are most important to you as a leader. What are the behaviors? What are the insights? And how do you want to hold yourself up to whatever standard of excellence that's important to you? And the leadership brand and the work that we will go through is how to make that stronger and more intentional.